My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be John and Mother Goose, Video 8, Jack, Part 2, by which I mean Jack of Jack and Jill fame. So here is my novella, John and Mother Goose, The Carnival of Tales. John and Mother Goose on the cover, I was going to say at center stage, well, in a way they are, on the cover surrounded by mythical creatures. Here's the summary of the story. While driving his granddaughter home from daycare, John suddenly finds himself standing in the midway of a carnival of Mother Goose fairy tales. He's greeted by Jack of Jack and Jill fame, who tells John that Mother Goose is expecting him, as she has a role for him to play. But what does Mother Goose want? Why does she think of John as a writer of detective stories? And why, when she meets John, does she greet him almost as a long-lost son? And for that matter, why do so many of the fairy tale characters have different stories they want John to write for them, instead of the ones in which they've lived for hundreds of years? John's not a mythical creature. He's only human, after all. But can he save the Mother Goose Carnival of Tales? Can he solve the mystery of the vanishing fairy tales? So, in every second chapter of the inner story of this book, that's the dream, of the story of John's visit to the Mother Goose Carnival of Tales, John strolls with Jack of Jack and Jill fame along the midway. And every so often they stop and watch the stage performance of one of the familiar nursery rhymes. As they stand and watch the presentations on the stages, Jack explains to John what he meant when he said at their first meeting that he had something to tell John that he didn't want Mother Goose to overhear. So let's have a look and see what Jack has to say. So we'll go to chapter 6, page 38. Okay, here we are. As they stroll along, John hears a line in his mind. Hey, diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. Jack and I continue our walk. The faded sign says, hey, diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. I stop walking and motion to Jack as he expounds. I'm curious to see how this story's going to be staged. Too bad you're not a filmmaker, John, says Jack as we stop and watch. I prefer film to books myself. I was a bit surprised when I met you. You turned out a writer of books. I'd had a vision of someone else, a young filmmaker with a knack for writing parts for fading stars. I have an idea I'd like to pitch that would give me a part. I'm a rodeo writer who comes out of retirement. Oh, wait a minute. I've got it. An even better idea. Let's say I'm a mountain climber who comes out of retirement and climbs a mountain that only I can climb. A mountain taller than Everest, one that locals know about, but that doesn't get all the publicity that Everest does. And I come out of retirement to climb that mountain and rescue a newborn baby. Oh, and the mother too, of course. I lash them both to my back and I carry them down the mountain. Lots of close-ups, John. Film can do this really well, but do the best you can with your ink and your pen. Keep the camera mainly on me, John, with an occasional glimpse of the baby. Oh, and we shouldn't forget the mother, too, just to show the viewers, well, the readers in your case, just how dangerous this whole rescue is for me. One slip and I'm a goner, as the mountain is so high. You have to convey this to the reader, John, that if a person falls from the peak of a mountain, higher than Everest, don't forget, no matter their skill or their grit, John, they won't be bouncing back. Two stagehands come out on stage carrying what looks like a small bridge, or perhaps a ramp. It covers a good part of the stage as they set the bridge, or the ramp, down and go back inside. Oh, and speaking of bouncing back, John, let's double up and flip. I think it needs an outer story, what we can call an outer frame. So, in the outer story, John, the mountain climber is a role I play as a fading movie star. Now, in the story, the outer story, The Mountain film is a box office rocket, so it's an Oscar for me as the one with the fading career. So have me win an Academy Award, John, or whatever you have in the book world that would be similar in prestige. Jack, it's proving to be a distraction. I'm trying to concentrate on the play. So in the film, John, the book, we'll have me receiving a major prize, a huge reward for playing a guy who's not noticed or praised at all. It's a funhouse mirror, John, presenting multiple visions of me. In the inner story, I'll be the guy who's really talented, who climbed the mountain mainly for interest, occasionally for the odd dollar or two, say to take some rich person up to the top of the world, but who doesn't ask for a cent when the life of the baby is on the line, who just does the right thing at extreme risk to himself. And in the outer story, I'll be the fading movie star who climbs the steep path of the Hollywood comeback trail. And then in real life, John, leaving this carnival behind, I'll become, John, a major movie star. Do you think you can put all this into words, John? If the writing is really good, it will sell. The movies are always looking for stories that give the heart a tug. Maybe this is my lucky day, John. My meeting you, I mean. Maybe the book you write could be turned into an award-winning film. Just in case people don't get it, you could talk about it in interviews. You'd be the writer, so you'd know what my story would mean. John hears another line in his mind. The cow jumped over the moon. Another stagehand comes out with a cutout of a moon. He places the moon on the stage beneath the highest point of the bridge, or ramp. There's plenty of symbolism for you here, John, says Jack. You know how symbols work? They're taller than Everest, but not as well known. Do you see what I mean? It's the symbolism of the mountain, John, that I want you to capture here. It's not a lack of confidence. He knows he can climb that mountain backwards and with his eyes closed at any time. It's lack of recognition. He has confidence bulging out of his brain, threatening to pop right through his eardrums and his eyes. The mountain is gigantic, John, bigger than Everest by far, but it's never been acknowledged. So the guy who's able to climb it backwards with his hands tied, John, is given no recognition. None at all. Oh, people are so thick-headed, John. Whoops, lost my place here. Oh, people are so thick-headed, John. Mental, myopic, brain blind, obtuse. You think the nursery rhymes are written, John, in Braille. I see their glazed eyes in the midway all day long. They get lost inside a poem, John, wander for days without an egress. They couldn't analyze their way out of a poem if it was on fire. Believe it or not, John, there's people who couldn't tell you what our little snippet of imagery means. Jack and Jill go up the hill. Jack falls down and breaks his crown. You gotta think Shakespeare, the ancient Greeks. What goes up must come down, if you know what I mean. If this isn't tragedy, then what else could it possibly be? Press your forehead against a weathered, chiseled rock on which it's been carved. This is the deepest level that has been reached by the human brain. But people think they're silly stories, especially now that they're out of date. I'm a character caught in a time trap, John. Stories lose their depth with time. The centuries come and go, John. The human journey continues on. A story pants and falls to its knees and is left behind. What was once profound and grand becomes a simple nursery rhyme. That's why I need a different story, a different scene. I'll still be Jack, brooding, mysterious, the man of depth and gravitas that I've always been, but I'll be cast in a modern role, John. one to which people can relate. It will have none of those fairy tale relics, none of those time-encrusted elements in it at all. I won't be carrying a wooden bucket. I won't be wearing short pants and tumbling down a hill. John hears another line in his mind. The little dog laughed to see such sport. A young lady, dressed in a tutu, leads a cow on stage. She tugs the rope which is attached to the cow's nose, and the cow follows her to one end of the bridge, or ramp. The young lady then leads the cow up over the ramp above the moon and down the other side. I see myself, John, says Jack. It's channeling. Are you familiar with that term? All of the attributes of the greatest stars of the past. Both the great action stars, John. Oh, Schwarzenegger, Eastwood, Weissmuller, Fairbanks, and the great character actors as well, like Clift, Brando, Dean, Muni, Cheney. So I see myself, as will the audience, John, as totally unique. I guess you could say it's a question of influences and elements, John. I don't imitate, I create, I absorb, and I make my own. As I move into the future, I carry all that has been done in a sack on my back. But these directors that you mentioned, Riefenstahl and Eisenstein, John, you said they've taught you a lot. Are they working in Hollywood now? Have they made any popular films that I would know? I never notice the names of directors. When the credits will by on the screen, I only care about the names of the stars. In fact, I'm thinking now of who I'll get to play me. So, if these are such great directors and you know them personally, John, why haven't they turned your novels into films? You'd think by now your books would all be household names. John hears another line as he's standing watching the fairy tale being acted on stage. And the dish ran away with the spoon. I applaud the performance, but Jack has his hands in his pockets, waiting for me to stop applauding so he can talk. The young lady in the tutu holds a rope which is attached to the cow. She curtsies as an elderly gentleman calls out encore. So let's get started, John, Jack says. No sense strolling and wasting words. Do you have a personal phone book? I guess you'd use a cell phone now. Do you have some Hollywood numbers? Let's start with these two directors, Eisenstein and Riefenstahl. Just get them on the phone and let me talk. I'll give them a story that will make their eardrums pop. And I won't forget you, John. If not the script, then something else. Continuity or coffee. I'll get you a pass to get on the set. You'll be the You'll be the sidekick, the gopher, who knew me long before I became a star. We'll get you into Hollywood somehow. This film of ours will break box office records. The weekend totals will go through the roof. And the film festivals, John, a tour of the world with plenty of those. Red carpets and yachts in the harbors and gallons of pink champagne. All those awards like they draped those fighters with on TV. And the talk shows, John, the talk shows. I'll tell dozens of charming stories. Back me up on what I say. Just sit beside me on the couch and nod once in a while and say, yes, it really happened. That's all, John, I would ever expect you to do. We'll live the good life, John. The life of artists in our time. Forget the books and the dusty libraries and get into film. Nobody reads old books anymore. They should toss them in a pile and set them on fire. The crowd is in on the midway. Jack sure has a lot to say. I stop whenever a play is about to begin. Okay. Well, that's part 2 of Jack explaining to John what he wants John to do for him. John sees Jack as something of a celebrity, as Jack, along with his partner Jill, has been a character in a nursery rhyme that has lasted for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years. To John, Jack is a cultural icon. He is famous throughout the world, as every child in the world learns to chant the nursery rhyme of Jack and Jill as they climb up the hill to fetch a pail of water. As Jack explains to John, the nursery rhymes have a resonance which is timeless. The concept of climbing a hill to fetch something, of tumbling down and breaking one's crown, and then of getting up again and completing the task is one of the great stories which have nurtured and comforted the human family through millennia of time. So why, then, does Jack take the opportunity to tell John that after hundreds, perhaps thousands of years of being the main character in such a well-known and beloved tale, he yearns to appear in a completely different story? Well, this has been part 2 of John's encounter with Jack. Perhaps in part 3, which I will present in another video presentation, we'll find out what Jack's yearnings are all about. So once again, this is my novella, John and Mother Goose, The Carnival of Tales. It's found on Amazon where there's more information. My publisher's website is roxmillspress.com where there's more information as well. And on my website, johnpassfield.ca, there's 2 free books. My planning notebook, which I wrote while I was planning on writing this novella, is available. Just click on the cover icon and it's there on the screen for you to read. And my reflective journal, which I wrote while I was polishing this novella, is also there. If you click on the cover icon, you'll get to read it. Lastly, I'll just say thank you for watching this video.